Jiang State, Blue Cloud Sect. On the ethereal white jade square, hundreds of boys and girls were sitting cross-legged, their eyes tightly closed, their expressions varied, some furious, some filled with fear, some ecstatic, and some in utter despair. Hiss. In the crowd, Lu Changsheng made a muffled sound, opened his eyes, and involuntarily covered his forehead with his hand. In the depths of his mind, waves of memories surged like a flood, assaulting his consciousness. With this influx of information, Lu Changsheng understood what was happening. He had transmigrated. He arrived in the Xianxia world. However, for 18 years, he had not awakened the mystery of his previous life. It wasn't until today, during the 4th stage of the Immortal Sect's examination called the Heart Questioning Platform in the Blue Cloud Sect, that he awakened the memories of his past life. Someone woke up so quickly. He has an excellent Tao heart. Not far away, several immortal masters from the Blue Cloud Sect were surprised to see Lu Changsheng waking up. The Heart Questioning Platform was the 4th stage of the Blue Cloud Sect's assessment, testing the Tao heart, meaning the state of mind and willpower. Lu Changsheng, due to awakening the memories of his past life, was the first to awaken. Lu Changsheng, 9th grade spiritual root, 18 years old. It's a pity. In the 2nd stage, his perseverance performance was only mediocre, yet he possessed such a strong Tao heart. It's strange. With such a Tao heart, if he had a 7th grade spiritual root, even at the age of 18, he would be a promising immortal seed. The 9th level spiritual root has limited potential at this age. No matter how strong the Tao heart is, it's useless. After reviewing Lu Changsheng's information, many people showed a regretful expression. Of course, Lu Changsheng couldn't hear the opinions of the immortal teachers. He was currently lost in thought. With the awakening of his past life memories, the indispensable system for transmigrators also arrived. The many children, many blessings system. As the name suggests, the more children you have, the more blessings you will receive. This blessing is not some elusive happiness, but tangible and visible benefits. According to the system information, there are currently 2 main benefits. First, there are many achievement rewards related to offspring. As long as achievements are triggered, the system will provide rewards. Second, the spiritual root talent and cultivation of his descendants will all be added to him. In addition, the talents and cultivation of his grandchildren and descendants will also be added to him. However, the bonus from grandchildren is less than that from children, and it decreases by 50% every generation. The many children, many blessings system rewards by unlocking the achievements of descendants, and the talents and cultivation of children and their descendants will be added to me. Why does it feel like playing a child-rearing game, unlocking achievements by having children and getting rewards? But doesn't this system mean that as long as my children and grandchildren have good talents and high levels of cultivation, my spiritual root talent can be improved? I can easily ascend to immortality. After understanding the system, Lu Changsheng's emotions soared with excitement. In this world, the first step to cultivating immortality is to have a spiritual root, and spiritual roots are divided into 9 grades. 9th grade to 7th grade is considered low grade. 6th grade to 4th grade is considered mid grade. 3rd grade to 1st grade is considered high grade. Above 1st grade, there are also Earth Spirit Root, Heaven Spirit Root, and some rare mutated spirit roots. During the aptitude test in the first assessment, Lu Changsheng learned that he only had a 9th grade spirit root. It is considered the worst kind of spirit root. Cultivating immortality with such a spirit root is extremely difficult, and the future achievements are limited. But now, with the system, the more children, more blessings system, Lu Changsheng feels that his future path to immortality might not be so difficult. As long as he has more children, nurtures them well, and through efforts builds a large family, he believes he can soar effortlessly. Dad, Mom, no! It's fake. It turns out to be an illusion just now. Haha, I did it. I've become immortal. No, this is fake. Don't think about fooling me. At this moment, the young men and women on the heart-questioning platform gradually woke up, shouting as if they had experienced a nightmare, interrupting Lu Changsheng's thoughts. Lu's. Changsheng, when did you wake up? Several people beside him were surprised to see that Lu Changsheng had already awakened. I just woke up a while ago, Lu Changsheng replied, surveying the 3 men and 2 women in front of him. Hong Yi, 16 years old, 9th grade spirit root, the legitimate son of a marquis. Han Lin, 15 years old, 7th grade spirit root, a blacksmith by profession. Li Feiyu, 18 years old, 7th grade spirit root, the junior leader of the Crimson Whale Gang. Xiao Shiyue, 15 years old, 4th grade spirit root, a young lady from a scholarly family. Zhao Qingqing, 16 years old, 6th grade spirit root, from a family of physicians. These 5, like him, were immortal seedlings brought to the secular branch of Blue Cloud sect. Along the way, a few of them got acquainted. However, this familiarity was merely seeking warmth in a strange environment. The differences in their backgrounds were too great, making it difficult for them to chat together. Only Han Lin and Lu Changsheng got along a bit better. Because Lu Changsheng was born in a farmer's family, he was easier to talk to Han Lin. I seem to be the first to wake up just now. I wonder if I can enter the immortal sect. Lu Changsheng looked at the gradually awakening people around him and pondered. Even with the system by his side, he hoped to be able to join Blue Cloud sect. As an ordinary peasant, he had fortuitously obtained the opportunity for immortality and was brought to Blue Cloud sect for assessment. If he couldn't join Blue Cloud sect, cultivating immortality would be extremely challenging. Cultivation of immortality pays attention to wealth, companionship, technique, and location, all of which are indispensable. Let's not dwell on wealth, whether in the mundane world or the cultivation realm. Money takes precedence. Companions are fellow cultivators, comrades. Techniques refer to cultivation methods, Tao techniques, and the teachings of others. Lastly, location indicates the cultivation site. In ordinary territories, lacking spiritual veins, with thin and barren spiritual energy, cultivation progresses very slowly. If one can join the Blue Cloud sect, especially in the initial stages, it can be considered a completeness of wealth, companionship, techniques, and location. This is also why countless individuals aspire to join the immortal sects. Those whose names are called step forward. Shortly after, everyone at the heart-questioning platform woke up. A sect disciple of the Blue Cloud sect floated in mid-air, took out a jade scroll, and began announcing the approved list. Zhusan, Xiao Yuan, Han Lin, Xiao Shiyu, Zhao Qingqing. Each name was pronounced. Those whose names were called showed excitement and joy, full of anticipation for their future on the immortal path. Those not mentioned felt increasingly heavy-hearted, filled with a sense of loss. Is that all? Li Feiyu, upon seeing the Blue Cloud sect disciple put away the list, wore a resentful expression. Why isn't my name on the list? Hong Yi also clenched his lips, his face slightly pale, unable to believe it. Although he has an 8th grade spiritual root, he is from a novel background and has spent money on connections in advance. Phew! Seeing that his name was not there, Lu Changsheng sighed, feeling a little heavy. However, with the system in place, he wasn't too distressed. At this moment, some people nearby burst into tears. Others immediately leave the mountain gate, the Blue Cloud sect disciple said indifferently. Then, with a sweep of his sleeves, auspicious clouds appeared beneath the chosen one's feet, carrying them away. The remaining hundreds of people wore bitter expressions, leaving with a deep sense of unwillingness. Stepping out of this gate, our fates diverge. The paths of immortals and mortals are now separate. Exiting the Blue Cloud sect gate, many people sighed and shouted. If you fail to join the immortal sect, even if you set foot on the immortal path, you are still just a casual cultivator. The fate will be completely different from that of the immortal sect disciples. Hong Yi, filled with unwillingness, looked at the faint immortal energy and the radiant blue cloud sect, sighing continuously. During the previous journey, he pursued Xiaoxiu. But now, Xiaoxiu has been recognized with a 4th grade spiritual root, successfully joining Blue Cloud sect. While he was eliminated, the other party immediately became an unattainable existence for him. His status as a noble son was completely insignificant in front of the immortal sect disciples. Even Han Lin, whom he looked down upon before, and Zhao Qingqing, who had no ambitions at this moment, have joined Blue Cloud sect and become figures he looks up to in the future. What should I do next? Lu Changsheng glanced at the gate of Blue Cloud sect, took a deep breath, and contemplated the path ahead, although he had a system by his side. But using it is not simple. There is an accumulation stage in the early period, constantly marrying and having children, then raising and nurturing the children. The time, money, and energy spent on this are not insignificant. For him at the moment, it's very difficult. Although he has a spiritual root, he is just an ordinary peasant, penniless. If he cannot join the forces of the immortal sect, this spiritual root won't be worth much. Just as everyone was descending the mountain, a refined man in his 30s or 40s, dressed in a green robe, walked towards them, looking at the descending crowd, and spoke. Young friends, our Qingzhu, Mountain's Lu family is currently recruiting 20 sons-in-law, offering spiritual vein-blessed lands and immortal cultivation manuals. Are you interested? Looking for a son-in-law? Provide you with spiritual veins and cultivate secrets? Upon hearing the words of the man in the green robe, the crowd of people who had been eliminated from the mountain immediately stirred. Upon hearing this, Lu Changsheng also felt a bit moved. After careful consideration, he thought that joining a cultivation force would indeed be the best option for his current situation. As for becoming a son-in-law, it was no big deal. Cultivation of immortality is not an easy journey. However, he remained silent because he wanted to observe first. After all, good things don't just fall out of the sky. He didn't know much about the situation of the Lu family on Qingzhu Mountain. Who knew if this son-in-law recruitment was a real offer or just an act? May I ask, Senior, are there any requirements for becoming your son-in-law? I remember that families like yours usually don't cultivate the foreign bloodlines, right? Someone in the crowd immediately spoke up. Among the eliminated, young men and women, there were many descendants of wealthy and influential families, even descendants of casual cultivators, who had a certain understanding of the cultivation world. Haha, since the young friend asked, I, Lu, won't hide anything. I'll be straightforward. A few years ago, my Lu family suffered a loss of descendants, resulting in a shortage of new talent. Therefore, I am making this exception to recruit son-in-laws to bring in fresh blood. As for the requirements, within 20 years, you must have 50 descendants. If there's one with mid-level spiritual roots, or 3 with low-level spiritual roots, the task will be considered complete. During this period, my Lu family will not only provide you with spiritual vein locations and cultivation techniques, but will also allocate a certain amount of cultivation resources every month. The man in the green robe looked at the crowd, his face soft and refined as he slowly explained. However, as soon as these words came out, many people in the crowd expressed their disbelief. It seemed like they were recruiting breeding stock rather than son-in-laws. You see, things between men and women can greatly deplete one's vitality and energy, especially for cultivators. After being eliminated by the Blue Cloud sects, these people already had limited accomplishments. If they focused on such things every day, their cultivation progress would probably be slow. Upon hearing this, Lu Changsheng's mouth twitched slightly. 50 descendants in 20 years seemed a bit excessive. Even if you had a child every year, you still wouldn't reach 50 in 20 years. It seemed like the Lu family's son-in-law recruitment wasn't done on a one-to-one basis. Each son-in-law might be paired with 3 or 4 wives. Didn't that sound unacceptable? After careful consideration, Lu Changsheng even thought it was quite suitable for himself. Not only would he have a place to cultivate, but he would also have a wife to help raise the children. It was a perfect solution for the difficult initial stage of his cultivation system. Moreover, hearing such strict requirements made Lu Changsheng feel somewhat relieved. If they weren't strict, how could those who had been eliminated have a chance to join a cultivation family? Hong Yi, who was standing next to him, saw a hint of interest on Lu Changsheng's face and spoke. Lu Changsheng, I've heard about the Lu family on Qingzhou Mountain. It's a legitimate cultivation family with a founding ancestor as its head. It is indeed as he said. In the past few years, there was a big battle with the Chen family of Hongye Valley over a spiritual stone mine, causing the family to lose too many young people. If you have no other options, this might be a good choice, Hong Yi said. Previously, due to his identity, he was not very friendly towards Lu Changsheng, Han Lin, and Zhao Qingqing. He even looked down on them. But now that Han Lin and Zhao Qingqing had entered the Blue Cloud sect, while he had been eliminated, his arrogance was gone, and he began to see reality more clearly. He understood that once you're on the cultivation path, the gap between those of noble origins and those of humble origins isn't as big as he thought. If Lu Changsheng joined a cultivation family, even if his future achievements were limited, he would have more friends and more opportunities. Thank you for reminding me, Brother Hong. Upon hearing this, the remaining worry in Lu Changsheng's heart also disappeared. He felt that becoming a son-in-law of the Lu family was a very good choice for him at the moment. With the system in place, as long as you get through the initial stage, won't you be able to fly like a bird? Immediately, Lu Changsheng stepped forward to register. Brother Lu, let's go together. At this moment, Li Feiyu spoke up, as if making a difficult decision. Brother Li, are you also joining the Lu family? Hong Yi was surprised to see Li Feiyu decide to join the Lu family. Lu Changsheng, who came from a peasant background, could understand this decision. However, Li Feiyu, who was from the powerful Crimson Whale gang, as a young gang leader, his conditions were pretty good. It was unexpected that he would willingly become the Lu family's son-in-law. Life is just a dream that lasts only 100 years. If you come across a chance for immortality, you cannot afford to miss it. Li Feiyu said in a deep voice. He understood his own situation. Although the Crimson Whale gang was good, his father couldn't make the decision alone. The gang couldn't provide much financial support for his cultivation. If he returned, he might inherit his father's position as the gang leader and live an ordinary mortal life. However, knowing that he had spiritual roots and the ability to cultivate immortality, he was not willing to go back. He had seen his father bow and prostrate before a cultivator. Regardless of their social status or martial prowess, everyone was like ants in front of a cultivator. So even if it was difficult, as long as there was a glimmer of an opportunity, he wanted to pursue it. At the very least, he wouldn't regret it in the future. Then I wish Brother Li and Brother Lu a successful journey to immortality. If you need anything in the future, you can write to the residence of Marquis Yi. Hong Yi understood the reasoning and didn't try to persuade any further. As a nobleman, he had enough money at home and could continue his cultivation without becoming a son-in-law. Soon after, Lu Changsheng and Li Feiyu approached the man in the green robe and expressed their willingness to join the Lu family. When the man in the green robe heard that Lu Changsheng only had a 9th grade spiritual root, he showed some hesitation. Better spiritual roots would increase the likelihood of having children with strong roots and higher grades. However, when he saw Lu Changsheng and Li Feiyu together, with Li Feiyu having a 7th grade spiritual root, he nodded. Have you thought it through? Once you reach Qingzhou Mountain, there's no turning back. You'll have to sign a contract. If you can't fulfill the conditions within 20 years, you will not only have to pay 3 times the resources, but you will also serve the Lu family for 10 years. The man in the green robe said seriously, We have decided. Lu, Changsheng and Li Feiyu nodded in agreement. In about half an hour, all 20 sons-in-law were recruited. They were all ordinary young men with no significant backgrounds. The man in the green robe didn't want anyone with a strong background. I am Lu Yuanding, the head of the Lu family. From now on, you can call me the head. Now, follow me back to Qingzhou Mountain, Lu Yuanding said to Lu Changsheng and the others. Then he took out a bag with a golden patterned edge and opened it. A series of white lights flew out, transforming into magnificent yellow horses with golden manes and agile limbs. Riding horses? Many people were surprised to see these horses. The previous deacon of Blue Cloud sect flicked his sleeves, and the selected people had auspicious clouds under their feet and flew away. But here they were, following Lu Yuanding, and they could only ride horses. Lu Changsheng also felt that it was a bit low to practice cultivation and still ride horses. These aren't ordinary horses. They are spirit horses raised by my Lu family, and they can travel 1,000 miles a day. Even if you don't know how to ride, it won't be a problem. Lu Yuanding explained when he saw the disappointment on their faces. He had no choice. The Lu family was only a small clan. Even though they had a magic flying boat, they wouldn't use it casually. As for taking people for a ride, it was even more unrealistic. With his cultivation at the 8th level of Qi refinement, he could not even fly long distances on his own, let alone take others with him. For so many people, riding a horse was the most convenient and fastest way. So, Lu Changsheng and the others mounted the horses and followed Lu Yuanding as he left. At the foot of the Blue Cloud sect's mountain, there were 5 cultivators from the Lu family waiting to accompany them to avoid any accidents on the way. Night falls. Lu Yuanding and his group took a rest in the wilderness. Not to mention, this spirit horse was indeed not comparable to ordinary horses. Lu Changsheng didn't know how to ride a horse, but he didn't feel tired even after a long day's journey. Lord Lu, how long will it take to reach Qingzhou Mountain? At this time, a young man asked, this spiritual steed travels 1,000 miles a day. At this speed, it will only take a little over half a month to reach Qingzhou Mountain, Lu Yuanding said. 1,000 miles a day, half a month. After hearing this, everyone looked at each other in disbelief. Lu Changsheng was also speechless. That's too far. Lu Yuanding didn't seem to notice the ugly expressions on everyone's faces. He took out a porcelain bottle and said, half a month will pass quickly. These are fasting pills. After taking one, you won't feel hungry for a month. Here, one for each of you. With that, he distributes a fasting pill to each person. Lu Changsheng took a brief look at the brown pill the size of a soybean in his hand and didn't think too much before swallowing it. Now that they are on the journey, they have to take the medicine even if it's poisonous. Besides, there is no reason for the Lu family to harm them. After taking the fasting pills and resting for a while, some young men start sitting cross-legged to cultivate, indicating that they already have cultivation techniques. Li Feiyu, on the other hand, goes off to practice martial arts on his own. From previous conversations, Lu Changsheng knows that Li Feiyu, the young leader of the Crimson Whale Gang, is highly skilled in martial arts. At only 18 years old, he is considered to be one of the top experts in the martial arts world. After resting for 3 or 4 hours, the group continued on their way. That's it. Half a month passes on the arduous journey. Cheer up, Qingzhou. Mountain is just ahead, Lu Yuanding says to the dejected young people behind him as he rides the spiritual steed along the official road. After half a month of boring travel, everyone was numb and exhausted, both physically and mentally. Lu Changsheng also looks a little listless. In his previous life, he felt uncomfortable sitting in a car for a whole day, let alone riding a horse for half a month. Everyone became more energetic after hearing Lu Yuanding say that they were almost at Qingzhou Mountain. The days of traveling were finally coming to an end. The 5 accompanying Lu family cultivators also breathed a sigh of relief. It was their family mission to safely escort the immortal seedlings back home. But at this moment, something unexpected happens. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Dozens of crystal clear and sharp ice spikes suddenly emerge from the ground nearby, shooting towards Lu Changsheng and the others. Not good enemy attack. Seeing this, Lu Yuanding's expression changed drastically, and he shouted angrily. At the same time, he stretched out his big hand, spread his fingers, and fireballs emitting a fiery aura flew out one by one, intercepting the ice cones. Protect the immortal seedlings. The other 5 Lu family cultivators also displayed their techniques, creating earth walls and water screens to shield Lu Changsheng and the immortal seedlings. But in the face of so many ice spikes, 3 immortal seedlings were still hit by the ice spikes, piercing their chests, and with a thud, they fell lifeless from the spiritual steed. So this is the world of cultivation. Lu Changsheng couldn't help but swallow as he looked at this horrific scene, his face turning slightly pale. He may be a transmigrator, but whether in his previous life or in this one, he has never witnessed such a massacre. This is the first time. At this moment, he gained a clear understanding of the cruelty of the cultivation world. Ha ha ha, Lu Yuanding. Did you ask my Chen family before you tried to take back those immortal seedlings? Cultivators emerged from the ground one by one. Leading them was a middle-aged man in a large red robe. Chen Shuisheng, how dare you act so recklessly in our Qingzhou mountain territory? Lu Yuanding shouted coldly as he looked at the red-robed man in front of him. Of course, he knew the other person. It was their arch-enemy, the head of the Chen family from Hongye Valley. But he didn't expect that the latter would dare to sneak attack at his door. However, it was indeed the best time for the other party to ambush here. Not only were everyone tired, but their vigilance was also lax. As he spoke, a yellow talisman quickly appeared and burned in his hand. This was a message talisman, calling the family for help. Quickly and decisively, kill! Chen Shuisheng sneered, his lips moving slightly as he clapped his hands forward, releasing a cold air. It condensed into sharp spikes of ice, attacking Lu Yuanding. The 10 cultivators behind him also acted, attacking Lu Changsheng and the other immortal seedlings. Their goal was not to intercept the Lu family members, but to target the immortal seedlings. Boom, boom, boom. The 2 sides began to clash. Chen's family had the numerical advantage, and combined with the fact that the Lu family had to protect the immortal seedlings, they were immediately at a disadvantage. Puff! At that moment, a green wind blade sliced through the Lu family's defense, slicing one of the immortal seedlings next to Lu Changsheng in half. Blood splashed onto Lu Changsheng, stunning him for a moment. Be careful. At that moment, another wind blade broke through the defense and shot towards Lu Changsheng. But Li Feiyu, who was standing beside him, had sharp eyes and quick hands. He jumped up and deftly pushed Lu Changsheng down, avoiding the attack. Thank you, Brother Li. Lu Changsheng came back to his senses, feeling a lingering fear in his heart. If Li Feiyu hadn't pushed him down, that wind blade would have undoubtedly killed him. As a transmigrator with a system, it would be frustrating to die like that. After witnessing the cruelty of this world, even though he was scared, his determination to cultivate became even stronger. In this world of survival of the fittest, without strength, you are no more than an ant, and your life is as fragile as a weed. Cultivation is too dangerous. I want to go home. Please let me go. It's none of my business. Run away. Staying here is just waiting for death. Seeing the Lu family at a disadvantage, with several immortal seedlings killed, some cried and begged for mercy, while others chose to flee. However, there was a twist. As the 2 of them ran out of the Lu family's protective range, they were instantly killed by fireballs, wind blades, and ice spikes, making anyone who tried to escape afraid to move. At that moment, Lu Changsheng and the others were like lambs waiting to be slaughtered, only able to pray that the Lu family would hold out. Fortunately, a short time later, the sound of breaking air could be heard. Figures were flying from the direction of Qingzhou Mountain. Go! Seeing that the Lu family's reinforcements had arrived, Chen Shuisheng did not hesitate. He made a decisive move and led the others to flee. Father, are you all right? At that moment, a woman in a snow-white dress quickly floated down from the sky to Lu Yuanding's side. Her voice was like clear spring water, and her face was filled with concern. She had delicate features, a slender and graceful figure, and her white dress fluttered, revealing a glimpse of snow-white legs, like a heavenly maiden descending to earth, making all the immortal seedlings who have just passed through the gate of hell be stunned. Lu Changsheng was no better. Having experienced the impact of beautiful women in the era of big data on the internet in his previous life, he thought he wouldn't be impressed by anything stunning. But when he saw this woman in white, he was truly captivated. With elegant features, eyes like autumn water, a high and straight nose, lips like rosy clouds, and pale jade-like skin, she completely embodied what it meant to have bright eyes and white teeth, with an air of icy purity. Most captivating was the woman's temperament, elegant and ethereal, pure as a snow lotus, aloof from the world. If it weren't for the look of concern on her face, she would have looked like an otherworldly fairy. If it were possible to marry into the Lu family and have children with such a woman, it wouldn't be a problem to have 50 or even 100 children. Such a thought crossed Lu Changsheng's mind, but he knew that it was clearly impossible. As the daughter of the head of the family, how could she marry such a breeding son-in-law? It is only possible in a dream. Miaoge, father is fine. It's just that I am exhausted from the depletion of spiritual energy. Lu Yuanding waved his hand at his daughter. Lu Miaoge. All the young men remembered the name of this stunningly beautiful woman. Lu Changsheng also remembered the name. The other members of the Lu family arrived one by one, and when they saw that Lu Yuanding and the others were fine, they didn't pay too much attention to the loss of the 8 immortal seedlings. Although it was unfortunate that 8 immortal seedlings had died, they weren't too heartbroken. After all, they hadn't invested much in those immortal seedlings. Later, everyone arrived safely at Qingzhou Mountain. Qingzhou Mountain is not just a mountain, but a mountain range covered with crystal-clear green bamboos. After entering the mountain, Lu Changsheng could clearly feel that the air was much fresher and more humid. Streams flowed through the mountains, birds chirped in the emerald-green surroundings, and terraced fields of grain and vegetables could be seen on some of the slopes, creating a utopian scene. Within these mountains, the Lu family built various villages and mansions. Lu Changsheng and the group of immortal seedlings settled in the peripheral Qingzhou Mountain Manor. There is a first-level spiritual vein under this Qingzhou Manor. From now on, you will live here and practice with peace of mind. You can rest assured. As long as you fulfill the previously agreed-upon conditions, you are free to leave the Lu family or stay with us. Uncle Fu, settle them in. Lu Yuanding said a few words and left. I am the steward of this Qingzhou Mountain Manor. You can also call me Uncle Fu. Follow me now. Uncle Fu was an elderly man with grey-white hair and a slightly hunched figure. After introducing himself, he led the group to complete the necessary procedures, while providing information about Qingzhou Mountain Manor. The manor was extensive, hosting not only them, but also the Lu family's own immortal seedlings practicing cultivation here. However, most of them were descendants with average talents. Those with exceptional talents resided in the core area of Qingzhou Mountain, where there was a second-grade spiritual vein, and the spiritual energy was more concentrated. During their journey, the group encountered many members of the Lu family. These individuals curiously observed Lu Changsheng and the others, looking at them with a certain degree of disdain and arrogance. Regarding this, Lu Changsheng remained quite calm. In a more polite way, they were external family members marrying into the Lu family. To put it bluntly, They are here to breed. However, through observation, he could tell that regardless of gender, the Lu family members looked quite decent. This also made him somewhat relieved about the subsequent breeding. They're here to have children, so who wouldn't want the other party to look good? Lu Changsheng admitted he was somewhat obsessed with appearance. An hour later, under Uncle Fu's arrangement, Lu Changsheng and the others signed the marriage contract, processed their identity cards, received immortal cultivation techniques, and were assigned places to live. Their residence was an independent courtyard, covering an area of about 200 square meters, with pavilions and loft, fully equipped. Sitting on the large bed in his room, Lu Changsheng took out the cultivation technique. The return to origin technique. As he opened the manual, a neat image of an old man in grey robes appeared, striking a pose and beginning to explain the cultivation process in great detail. No wonder it's an immortal cultivation technique. It even has image functionality. Unable to resist, Lu Changsheng scrutinized the booklet. He couldn't figure out the principle behind the images and sound in the booklet, finding it quite mysterious. Then, following the instructions from the image in the manual, he began practicing. After a considerable effort, Lu Changsheng finally entered a state of concentration. His mind became clear, sensing the faint, colorful spiritual energy around him. Realizing that he had completed the first step of sensing spiritual energy, he proceeded to try absorbing it into his body. Under his control, spiritual energy slowly gathered towards him, entering his body through the pores all over his skin. This process was slow, and after the spiritual energy entered his body, it needed to circulate through his meridians before, leaving a strand in his dantian. As the spiritual energy circulates, it also nourishes the flesh, blood, meridians, and bones of the human body, slowly expelling impurities from the body, thereby refining the essence. The night passed. Is this the 9th grade spiritual route? At this rate, it will take years and months for me to break through to the first level of qi refining. Lu Changsheng smiled bitterly as he looked at the cool breath in his dantian qi sea. This is still practicing in a place with spiritual veins. If it were in a place without spiritual veins, the speed would be even slower. At this moment, Lu Changsheng gained a profound understanding of the difficulty of cultivating immortality. Phew. It seems I can only rely on the system. Lu Changsheng breathed out a long sigh. Knowing that relying on one's own efforts to cultivate is simply unrealistic, he can only rely on the system. I wonder when the Lu family will arrange a wife for me, Lu Changsheng thought. Ding, ding, ding. Just then, the bell in the courtyard rang. Someone had arrived. Lu Changsheng walked out of the room and opened the courtyard door. Lu Changsheng, the Lu family has already arranged a welcoming banquet. For you to wash away the dust, follow me. At the doorway, Uncle Fu spoke. Behind him, there were already other immortal seedlings. A welcoming banquet. Hearing this term, Lu Changsheng vaguely guessed and nodded. All right. Subsequently, Uncle Fu called all 12 immortal seedlings and led them to a spacious and elegant hall in Qingzhou Mountain Villa. There were no other people inside, only 12 seats arranged with fine wine and dishes on top. After everyone took their seats before long, a group of charming young women, each with a different allure, entered the hall one by one. Indeed. Seeing these women, Lu Changsheng immediately knew he was right. This welcoming banquet was arranged for breeding. About 50 or 60 women entered the hall, all with decent looks. Although there were no stunning beauties like Lu Miaozhe, there were many attractive women, not inferior to some internet-famous celebrities from his past life. These women had clearly taken great care in dressing up, each with a different appearance. Some were petite and cute. Some had a simple makeup, gentle and elegant. Some had eyebrows like green blades, dressed in tough outfits, with a heroic and valiant demeanor. Some wore elaborate palace dresses, with black, hair coiled up, dignified and generous. There were also those with a cold demeanor, like an ice mountain, graceful and charming, with a hint of seduction, dressed in hazy light gauze, long legs and high heels, alluring, and so on. It can be said that with so many styles, there is surely one that will captivate you. This is quite a lineup. Duwei. Changsheng looked at the endless array of beautiful women before him and sighed in admiration. He felt that the Lu family was indeed generous in this regard, no doubt about it. Truly, a proper cultivation family. These are all outstanding women from our secular branch of the Qingzhou Lu family. They are not only well versed in etiquette, but also proficient in music, chess, calligraphy, and painting. All of them are pure and innocent. Today, they will be here to welcome and entertain you all. Each of you may choose someone you fancy, and I will arrange the wedding for you, Uncle Fu said. After saying this, he left the grand hall, leaving behind only Lu Changsheng and the 12 others, along with a group of Lu family women. Without the need for Lu Changsheng and the others to take the initiative, these women came to their seats on their own. Although they were secular women of the Lu family, most of them were also descendants of cultivators. There was no compulsion when coming here. Everyone came voluntarily, thinking of choosing a suitable immortal partner and giving birth to children with spiritual roots. The future would depend on the child's talent. Therefore, the initiative in this welcome banquet was more in their hands. Lu Changsheng was born in a farmer's family, and his appearance was ordinary. With only a 9th grade spiritual root, only 3 women came to his side. He didn't mind at all and directly embraced all 3. One should know how to be content. 3 was almost enough. Moreover, these 3 sisters were not bad. One looked pure and lovely with a lively personality. Another looked pure and lovely, with a hint of charm, giving people a sense of both purity and allure. There was also one with a gentle appearance, graceful personality, and the refined air of a well-bred lady. The first 2 girls had quite similar facial features, probably sisters. That's enough. If in the previous life he could find 3 wives like this, his ancestors would be proud. Compared to Lu Changsheng's initiative, the other 11 were relatively reserved. For example, Li Feiyu, with a handsome appearance and a 7th grade spiritual root, had 7 girls approaching him. But he only chose a petite and beautiful girl, turning away the others. An hour later, the welcome banquet ended. Everyone had chosen their significant other. Except for Lu Changsheng, who chose 3, others only choose 1 or 2. They still harbored aspirations for cultivation. It was just because they had signed a contract with the Lu family. For the time being, they chose one person to show goodwill, thinking that in the future, with successful cultivation, they could change their status. Later, under Uncle Fu's arrangement, the 12 held a wedding banquet on the same day. The wedding was simple, and after the ceremony, they went to their bridal chambers. Wife, husband X3. In the bridal chamber, Lu Changsheng looked at the 3 charming and graceful wives in front of him, each with a different charm, and drew the bed curtain. In this year, Lu Changsheng, at the age of 18, married 3 wives. The most beautiful lady is called Lu Lanshu. The pure and charming one is named Lu Zia. The pure and lovely one is named Lu Qingga. They are a set of sisters. Half a month later, Lu Changsheng, you're quite impressive. Not only did you marry 3 women from my Lu family, but within half a month, you've already made Lanshu pregnant. Our Lu family has always been fair in rewards and punishments. Naturally, we won't mistreat you. Here's your reward. A low-grade magical weapon, a flying sword, a set of green bamboo robes, a bottle of yellow dragon pill, 100 catties of spiritual rice. In the hall of the green bamboo manor, Lu Yuanding spoke to Lu Changsheng. It had been half a month since Lu Changsheng's wedding. Realizing the limited effect of self-cultivation, Lu Changsheng had basically not practiced at all in the past. Half-month, focusing all his energy on procreation. But his efforts were not in vain. Among his 3 wives, Lu Lanshu was confirmed to be pregnant. Upon hearing this news, Lu Changsheng was overjoyed. Whether in this life or the previous one, this was his first time becoming a father. Even though the birth of this child was entangled with many utilitarian factors, the joy he felt was genuine. The moment he learned he was going to be a father, he had already decided on the names for his child. If it was a boy, he would name him Pingen, and if it was a girl, he would name her Zeal. These names reflected his wish for his children to lead peaceful and joyful lives. When the head of the Lu family, Lu Yuanding, heard the news, he came to Qingzhou Villa in person to commend Lu Changsheng and provide generous rewards: a low-grade magical weapon worth 50 spirit stones, a set of robes worth 30 spirit stones, 100 catties of spiritual rice worth 10 spirit stones, a bottle of yellow dragon pill worth 10 spirit stones. In total, the rewards were equivalent to 100 spirit stones in resources. When the other immortal seedlings heard this reward, their eyes turned red. Their monthly resources from the Lu family amounted to only 2 spirit stones and 10 catties of spiritual rice. The reward Lu Changsheng received was almost equivalent to their 3-year allocation. Just because he was the first to have a child, he gained 3 years' worth of resources. This made them grind their teeth in frustration. "Thank you, Patriarch." Lu Changsheng was also delighted, expressing his gratitude respectfully. He hadn't expected such rewards for being the first to have a child. However, he understood that Lu Yuanding was using this to motivate others to hurry up and have children. Hehe, you deserve it. Our Lu family has never mistreated anyone. If you give birth to a child, the family will also have rewards. If anyone is the first to give birth to a child with spiritual roots, the family head will give even greater rewards. Lu Yuanding swept his gaze over the crowd and declared. This statement stimulated everyone, making them think about quickly going home to have children. Even Li Feiyu felt a bit tempted. However, after some time, when others gave birth, the rewards were only a bottle of yellow dragon pill and 10 catties of spiritual rice. It couldn't compare to the reward Lu Changsheng received in the first place. Another month passed, and Lu Changsheng's second wife, Lu Qinga, also became pregnant. For the second pregnancy, the family did not provide any additional rewards. If they were rewarded for every child born, the Lu family would likely be emptied. Then, after more than half a month, Lu Changsheng's third wife, Lu Xie, was also confirmed to be pregnant. In a little over 2 months since entering the Lu family, Lu Changsheng managed to get all 3 of his wives pregnant. Other immortal seedlings couldn't help but be speechless, wondering if this person had no interest in cultivation and was solely focused on procreation. Apart from Lu Changsheng's relentless efforts, he also calculated the ovulation periods and took the fertility potions provided by the Lu family, maximizing the probability of pregnancy. In short, Lu Changsheng could honestly say that he had put in the effort. After all 3 of his wives became pregnant, Lu Changsheng also began to focus on cultivating. Due to the pregnancies of his 3 wives, Uncle Fu sent 2 maids to take care of Lu Changsheng's daily life. These 2 maids had fair skin, and their looks and figures were all excellent. At a glance, it was obvious they weren't sent to take care of daily chores. Evidently, the Lu family considered him adept at producing offspring and sent them over for his breeding. Lu Changsheng didn't have any immediate thoughts about these 2 maids. He wanted to have more children, but this kind of thing couldn't be rushed. It had to be done slowly and steadily. A slow and steady approach was the way to go. Working hard every day could really take a toll on the body. Before cultivating immortality, frequent activities only left him feeling a bit exhausted. However, after cultivating immortality, Lu Changsheng could keenly sense that his vital essence was depleting. It not only affected his physical condition, but also slowed down his cultivation speed, requiring time to recover. This was also why other immortals were unwilling to crazily have children. It could really ruin oneself. In the blink of an eye, half A year had passed. I finally broke through the first level of qi refining. In the cultivation room, Lu Changsheng, dressed in a green robe, opened his eyes, exhaled a long breath, his face full of joy. It had been almost 10 months since he arrived at the Lu family. He had finally completed the process of drawing in spiritual energy and reached the first level of qi refining. He officially became a cultivator. The speed wasn't particularly fast, but it wasn't considered slow either. After all, when he first arrived at the Lu family, he spent quite a bit of time on childbirth. There were 9 levels in the qi refining realm, and the first 3 levels were not difficult. As long as one persisted in cultivation, it was basically a matter of course. Lu Changsheng's ability to break through at this speed was also thanks to the yellow dragon pill, saving him several months of hard cultivation. Otherwise, Lu Changsheng estimated that it would have taken him 2 or 3 more months to break through to the first level of qi refining. This also made him realize the importance of wealth and resources in cultivation. In the past half a year, apart from cultivation, he did not neglect other matters. He accepted the 2 maids sent by Uncle Fu as concubines, and they successfully became pregnant. In response, Uncle Fu sent 2 maids with good looks to him. Moreover, he was rewarded and had his monthly resources increased to 3 spirit stones and 20 catties of spiritual rice. Lanshu is about to give birth soon, right? Lu Changsheng stood up and tidied his green bamboo robe. Although this robe wasn't a magical treasure, it was extraordinary. When worn, it could automatically adjust its size, always fitting perfectly. It also had the effects of resisting cold and heat and remaining unaffected by dust. After leaving seclusion, Lu Changsheng spent some time with his wives, visited Li Feiyu's house to catch up and reminisced with old friends. Among the various immortals who came to the Lu family, he only had dealings with Li Feiyu, not only because the 2 knew each other from the beginning, but also because on the way to Qingzhou Mountain before, Li Feiyu saved his life. Through such a long time of contact, Lu Changsheng also knew that although Li Feiyu was a man of few words, he was a warm-hearted person and could be a deep friend. After more than half a month. Don't be nervous. Your wife lives in Qingzhou, Mountain Villa. They are nurtured by spiritual energy and have strong physiques. There won't be any danger in giving birth to a child. Moreover, there are cultivators assisting in childbirth, so rest assured. Outside the room, Lu Changsheng listened to the wailing of Lu Lanshu inside, clenching and unclenching his fists continuously while Li Feiyu comforted him. I'm not nervous. I'm just excited and happy. Lu Changsheng took a deep breath and said, but his eyes and thoughts were erratic, obviously trying to appear tough. Have you thought of a name for the child? Li Feiyu asked. Although the child would belong to the Lu family after birth, the father still had the right to choose the name. As for the surname, Lu Changsheng had the same surname as the Lu family, so there was no need to worry about the surname. I've thought of it. The boy will be named Pingan, and the girl will be named Sayal. Lu Changsheng replied casually, his thoughts still wandering. Before long, a clear and melodious baby's cry came from inside the room, making Lu Changsheng startle. And at this moment, unexpectedly, a system notification sounded in Lu Changsheng's mind. Congratulations to the host on the birth of the first offspring, and you have won 1 lottery chance. Huh? A lottery? Upon hearing this system notification, Lu Changsheng was momentarily stunned, immediately realizing this was the achievement reward for having a child in the system. He had no way to check this achievement. He could only explore it by himself. Without paying much attention to the system lottery, Lu Changsheng looked at the delivery room with concern. Before long, the door opened. A woman carried a baby wrapped in a blanket, red and wrinkled, out of the room. Congratulations, young master, it's a little boy. Lu Changsheng reached out and took the baby, looking at his wrinkled and rosy face, bright eyes, and a smile appeared on his face from the heart. From today, your name is Lu Pingan. My son. Lanshu, thank you for your hard work. Holding the child, Lu Changsheng entered the room and looked at Lu Lanshu lying on the bed. He sat beside her and gently held her hand. Although the two were bound by mutual interests and lacked emotional foundation, as the saying goes, time breeds affection. After so long together, with the child now born, they naturally developed some feelings. Husband. A faint smile appeared on Lu Lanshu's pale face as she weakly called out, "Don't move and have a good rest." Lu, Changsheng spoke softly, holding the child and looking at his wife. At this moment, a sense of happiness welled up in his heart. He felt that continuing like this would be good. However, thinking about the attack by the Chen family on the way to Qingzhou Mountain, the cruel law of survival in this world, where the weak are preyed upon by the strong, Lu Changsheng knew that happiness also needed to be protected by strength. Not to mention, without strength, when he leaves the Lu family in the future, the child won't truly be his. And, having the luck to transmigrate to such a world, seeking immortality, and with a system by his side, he was unwilling to choose a mundane and ordinary life. Seeing Lu Lanshu looking weak and in need of rest, Lu Changsheng didn't talk much, letting her rest well and handing the child to a woman nearby. It's not that the child has to be given to the Lu family right after birth, but he doesn't know how to take care of a baby, so he lets the woman take care of it. As for the child's spiritual roots, they won't manifest until 5 or 6 years old, and currently, they can't be detected. After leaving the delivery room, Lu Changsheng returned to his own room and silently said, "System, I want to draw a lottery." Immediately, a light red virtual lottery wheel appeared before him. It was divided into 7 areas: cultivation techniques, skills, spirit beasts, elixirs, magic treasures, and other. It's quite comprehensive. Lu Changsheng looked at the things that could be drawn with joy on his face. The only downside was that this lottery wheel was a bit like the big wheel of the pay-to-win game from his previous life. It made him feel unreliable and a bit uneasy. Can it really give good things? Moreover, in his previous life, drawing from the lottery required spending money, and in this life, does drawing from the lottery require spending spirit essence? It made him feel a little weird. Well, let's just consider this lottery as the system's way of giving him some pocket money. Lu Changsheng didn't overthink it and silently said, "Start the lottery." Immediately, a golden light started to spin on the pale red roulette. After 5 seconds, the wheel slowed down, and under Lu Changsheng's expectant gaze, the golden light stopped at skills. Ding! Congratulations to the host for obtaining the second-rank talisman crafting skill. Rewards have been deposited in the system space, and the host can check them at any time. Light cluster resembling a talisman appeared on the large wheel, accompanied by the sound of the system. Lu Changsheng's mind moved slightly, and in the system space, he saw a light cluster resembling a talisman with information displayed on it. Second-rank talisman crafting skill. After use, the host can directly comprehend the second-rank max-level talisman crafting skill and the corresponding complete collection of talismans. Directly obtaining a second-tier full-level talisman. Technique. System. I'm sorry, I admit that I'm starting to be a bit narrow-minded and biased. When Lu Changsheng saw the information, his expression was full of surprise. He hadn't expected to get something so good in the first lottery draw. After being in the Lu family for so long, he didn't just focus on producing children and cultivating. He had also enriched himself by understanding many things in the cultivation world. He knew how precious and valuable this second-tier talisman technique was. Just like the ordinary world, the cultivation world has many professions and techniques. For example, alchemy, refining, talisman crafting, formation, beast taming, planting, medicinal cooking, spirit identification, prospecting, and so on. There's a saying from a previous life that if you have a skill, you'll never go hungry. The same is true for cultivators. Not only will they never go hungry, but their skills are in high demand, making them popular wherever they go. That's because the threshold for cultivator skills is higher. You can't just learn them if you want to. Talent and wealth play a significant role. Of all the skills, formation, alchemy, refining, and talisman crafting are the most popular. For example, the second-level talisman-making skill corresponds to the talisman in the foundation-building stage, above chi refining. With this skill, he could easily become a valued guest or guest official in some influential families and factions. Without thinking much, Lu Changsheng moved slightly and used the second-level talisman-making skills in the system space. In an instant, a wave of knowledge surged into his mind. Introduction to Talismans. Complete Guide to Basic Talismans. Complete Guide to First-Level Talismans. Complete Guide to Second-Class Talismans. The Amazing Art of Talisman Crafting. How Talismans are Made. Talisman Crafting. From Beginner to Master. After a while, Lu Changsheng's mind was filled with a wealth of knowledge about talismans, and it felt like he had been drawing and crafting talismans for decades. He quickly approached the desk, picked up a paintbrush, and like a flowing river, drew a mysterious and complex talisman on a piece of paper. This feeling is just too amazing. It's like writing calligraphy. It feels like I have practiced for hundreds of years, without any awkwardness or unfamiliarity. Indeed, a product from this system is bound to be top-notch. Lu Changsheng looked at the runic symbols on the white paper, his face showing a delighted expression. He wasn't drawing at random. This was the runic inscription of a first-tier, low-quality fireball talisman. It simply didn't turn into a talisman because he didn't use a talismanic pen, talismanic paper, spirit ink, and spirit power. He couldn't explain the drawing process himself. It's like eating and drinking. He's done it countless times, and it's become a muscle memory. With the second-tier talisman technique, even if I leave the Lu family, I can still stand on my own. No worries about not being able to marry or support a wife and children. Lu Changsheng took a deep breath, his emotions excited and thrilled. After a while, he frowned. However, I can't reveal the second-order talisman technique right now. Otherwise, I won't be able to explain it and it might cause trouble. There's a saying that the innocent man is not guilty, but he is guilty of having a treasure. As someone who had been eliminated by the immortal sect and was just beginning his cultivation journey, if he suddenly revealed his talisman-making abilities, it would surely arouse suspicion and invite trouble. Besides, he was now a son-in-law of the Lu family, living under someone else's roof. Once he revealed his talisman-making skills, who knew how the Lu family would react? He might go from being a breeding person to a mere tool for making talismans. I can't rush this. It has to be done slowly. First, I'll buy some talisman-making materials, practice drawing symbols, then gradually reveal my talisman-making talent within the Lu family. Finally, of course, I will reveal the first and second-order talisman skills. That way, there won't be any suspicion. Maybe the Lu family will appreciate me because of my talisman-making talent, and my status could rise. Taking a deep breath, Lu Changsheng thought for a moment and made up his mind. Now that he had seen the effect of the system and possessed the second-order talisman technique, he had gained a bit more confidence in this world and his future. He knew that, as long as he remained cautious, had many children, and stayed out of trouble, even if he didn't become an immortal or ancestor, his future achievements wouldn't be too shabby. Early the next day, Lu Changsheng went out, took out the flying sword Lu Yuandong had given him, and went to the Baibao Pavilion of the Qingzhou Mountain Villa. The Baibao Pavilion functioned as a department store. It sold various items such as magical instruments, elixirs, talismans, spiritual rice, spiritual vegetables, monster meat, and daily necessities. Lu Changsheng used the spiritual stones he received each month to buy monster meat and spiritual vegetables from Baibao Pavilion. Although the elixirs were effective, they were too expensive. For someone like him, eating spiritual vegetables and monster meat was better value for money. Today, he came to Bai Bao Pavilion to buy a set of talisman-making tools. As for the flying sword, since he had no money with him, he planned to sell it for some cash. Shopkeeper, do you sell talisman brushes, talisman paper, and spiritual ink here? Arriving at Bai Bao Pavilion, Lu Changsheng asked the shopkeeper, who was sitting on a chair. What do you need these things for? The shopkeeper is an old man with grey hair and an immortal cultivator. I want to learn talisman making, so I plan to buy some materials and practice, Lu Changsheng explained. Learning to make talismans? The old man couldn't help but laugh as if he heard a joke. He looked at Lu Changsheng and said, Do you know how hard it is to learn talisman making? The cultivators at Qingzhou Mountain, Vila, are not many, only about 100, and he knows most of them. As for Lu Changsheng, being a son-in-law and having a crazy amount of children, 5 in 1 year, has earned him a certain reputation in Qingzhou Mountain Villa, which has made a relatively deep impression on the shopkeeper. I don't know, but my talent is mediocre. If I continue to cultivate like this, my progress will be slow. It's better to try to learn a trade. Lu Changsheng shook his head with a wry smile. He had thought about this excuse last night. Hehe, it's good that you have this idea, but I advise you not to waste money. For a beginner trying to learn talisman crafting, it's normal to fail hundreds of times in the beginning. If your aptitude is poor, it's not surprising that you'll fail a few hundred times. Even with the same type of talisman, if you make a different one, even if it's better than the first one, the failure rate is still surprisingly high. For a beginner to become a qualified talisman master, it takes thousands of practices. Think of the costs involved. The shopkeeper saw that Lu Changsheng was quite diligent in the Lu family and got 5 women pregnant in 1 year, so he kindly reminded him. Upon hearing these words, Lu Changsheng was somewhat surprised. Although he had acquired the second-level talisman crafting technique through the system, he was not aware of the specific difficulty of crafting talismans. He just learned that crafting talismans was much more difficult than he had imagined. For a newcomer, it took thousands of practices to enter the door and become a first-tier low-grade talisman master. The term first-tier low-grade talisman master referred to a first-tier talisman master. First-tier talisman masters were further divided based on the talismans they could draw, categorizing them as first-tier low-grade, first-tier mid-grade, first-tier high-grade, and first-tier top-grade talisman masters. The same classification applied to second-tier talisman masters. Lu Changsheng had obtained the second-level talisman crafting technique at its highest level, making him a second-tier top-grade talisman master. For a newcomer to elevate their talisman crafting technique to the second level, the time, energy, and financial resources required were beyond estimation. It might even consume a lifetime of effort without guaranteeing success. At this moment, Lu Changsheng felt that the second-level talisman crafting technique was even more precious than he had imagined. Shopkeeper, I still want to give it a try, Lu Changsheng said with a determined expression. No matter how difficult it was, the more challenging it was to become a talisman master, the more popular his craft would be. Okay, since you insist on buying it, I can't help but sell it to you. Seeing Lu Changsheng's persistence, the shopkeeper didn't try to dissuade him further. A few words of advice were already a kind gesture. Young people, they wouldn't turn back without hitting a wall. Ordinary wolf hairbrushes, 20 spirit stones each, can be used about 200 times. 1 tier ordinary talisman paper, 1 spirit stone per stack, 10 sheets per stack. 1 tier ordinary spirit ink, 1 spirit stone per box, can be used about 50 times. The shopkeeper quoted the prices. Lu Changsheng nodded and took out his flying sword and said, Shopkeeper, please appraise this flying sword for me. Is this the one given to you by the family head? The shopkeeper was somewhat surprised. He didn't expect Lu Changsheng to sell his flying sword for talisman crafting, but considering he was a son-in-law, he wouldn't have much money without selling the sword. That's right, Lu Changsheng nodded. I won't let you suffer for this flying sword. 50 spirit stones. the shopkeeper offered, extending his hand. Deal. Then, please give me 1 wolf hairbrush, 10 stacks of talisman paper, and 2 boxes of spirit ink, Lu Changsheng said, nodding and placing the flying sword on the counter. The shopkeeper indeed did not haggle. Selling the flying sword would only fetch a few extra spirit stones. Thinking about Lu Lanshu being pregnant, and Lu Xia and Lu Qing'er soon to give birth, Lu Changsheng added, also, give me 1 catty each of ginseng, licorice, angelica, astragalus, and wolfberry. These were medicinal herbs cultivated by the Lu family, classified as spirit plants, with the effect of nourishing essence and replenishing qi. All right, a total of 37 spirit stones. I'll give you 13 more spirit stones, the shopkeeper said. Putting away his flying sword, the shopkeeper turned around, took out the items that Lu Changsheng wanted, and gave him 13 more spirit stones. Thanks, shopkeeper. Lu Changsheng expressed his gratitude and left with the items. In the study room, Lu Changsheng neatly arranged a set of brush pens, talisman paper, and spirit ink on the desk. Beside them were the books Introduction to Talismans and Complete Guide to Basic Talismans. The skill information provided by the system includes many kinds of talismans, but when it comes to acting, you have to do it all. You can't become a talisman master without reading a single book, right? It's a bit unreasonable. Therefore, just to be on the safe side, Lu Changsheng made another appearance and went to the Lu family library, spent a spirit stone, and rented 2 books on talismans. The materials for drawing a talisman 100 times cost approximately 22 spirit stones. A first-tier, low-grade talisman can be sold for 1 to 2 spirit stones. If all are drawn as talismans, the minimum profit will be 5 times, and the maximum will be almost 10 times. If all are drawn as first-tier, medium-grade talismans, the profit could go up to more than 20 times. Tisk. The profit is really high. With my second-tier, full-level talisman-making skills, it's effortless to draw all these materials into first-tier, medium-grade talisman. Lu Changsheng skillfully grinded and mixed the spiritual ink, calculating in his mind. Different grades of talismans have different material requirements. The wolf hairbrush pen he bought was the most basic, suitable for beginners, capable of drawing basic talismans and first-tier, low and medium-grade talismans. It cannot be completely said that it cannot be used to draw first-class, top-quality talismans, but it significantly affected the success rates, and the brush pen will wear out quickly. Generally, talisman makers capable of drawing first-tier, medium-grade, superior, and top-grade talismans wouldn't skimp on materials and tools to improve their success rates. Similarly, talisman paper and spirit ink were categorized as ordinary, advanced, and top grade, with each level suitable for different talisman grades. After grinding and preparing the ink, Lu Changsheng spread the talisman paper, held the brush pen, took a deep breath to calm his mind, and began to attempt talisman making. If he were a novice, this would be the time for bathing, changing clothes, and performing rituals to align body, mind, and breath. But Lu Changsheng was experienced and didn't need such formalities. The brush pen touched the ink, and then spiritual energy flowed through his palm, into the pen, and finally to the tip. The pen tip, coated with spirit ink, emitted a faint glow. The pen gracefully moved across the blank talisman paper, creating intricate patterns effortlessly. The entire process was smooth, without any hesitation. Lu Changsheng lifted his hand. A faint glow appeared on the talisman paper on the table, emitting a subtle spiritual aura, causing the spirit ink on it to quickly solidify. In a short time, the spirit ink solidified. The glow on the talisman paper circulated, then gradually dimmed and disappeared. First level low-grade talisman, fireball talisman, complete. Phew! Seeing this scene, Lu Changsheng also breathed a long sigh of relief, a smile appearing at the corner of his mouth. Acquiring the relevant skills is one thing, but drawing the talisman oneself is another. It takes quite a lot of spiritual power to draw talismans, With my cultivation at the first level of qi refinement, I can at most draw 2 or 3 first-level low-grade talismans. If it's a first-level medium-grade talisman, I estimate only 1 at most. Lu Changsheng carefully examined the fireball talisman in his hand. As long as a trace of spiritual power is infused, the talisman can be activated and a fireball can be released. In terms of power, it's similar to the fireball technique of the third level of qi refinement. This is the power of talismans. With only at the first level of qi refinement, using a fireball technique would deplete all his spiritual power. However, with this amount of spiritual power, he could draw 2 or 3 talismans, each with the power of the fireball technique at the third level of qi refinement. Immediately, Lu Changsheng also drew a lightness talisman and a healing talisman, all first-level low-grade talismans. Feeling that if he continued to draw, not only would his spiritual power be drained, but his mind would also become somewhat exhausted, Lu Changsheng put away the 3 talismans and began to meditate and cultivate. The next day, Lu Changsheng opened his eyes. After a night of meditation, his spiritual power and energy had fully recovered. Perhaps drawing talismans yesterday caused some consumption of his spiritual power and mind, making last night's cultivation more effective than usual. Drawing talismans consumes spiritual power and mind, but can also assist in cultivation to some extent. Lu Changsheng was somewhat surprised, but he didn't pay too much attention to these slight effects. He came to the desk, took the wolf hairbrush, and prepared to try drawing a first-level medium-grade talisman. Dipping the brush tip into ink, without hesitation, he began to draw. The brush strokes were light and agile, flowing smoothly on the talisman paper, without any surprises. However, the moment he finished drawing, sweat broke out on Lu Changsheng's forehead. His face turned pale, and he seemed as if he had been completely drained, lying exhausted in the chair. After a long while, Lu Changsheng finally took a deep breath, sat up, and picked up the talisman on the table. First-level medium-grade talisman, golden light talisman. When activated, it releases a layer of golden light to protect oneself, capable of resisting an attack from the 6th level of qi refinement. The first-level medium-grade talisman is still a bit difficult for me now, Lu Changsheng thought to himself, putting the talisman away and hiding it. In the days that followed, in addition to cultivation, he also added talisman crafting to his routine. Almost every day, he drew 2 or 3 first-level low-grade talismans, or a first-level medium-grade talisman. All these talismans were hidden in the bookshelf in his study to be taken out when the opportunity arises. Time passed quickly, and a month passed in the blink of an eye. Lu Changsheng's wife, Lu Qing'e, also gave birth. It was a son. This time, the system did not seem to reward him. Lu Changsheng, who had tasted the sweetness of the system, felt a little disappointed. But when he thought about it, it was normal. If giving birth triggered an achievement and rewarded him, he wouldn't need to raise the children. He could just keep having them to boost his progress. After the baby was born, Lu Changsheng did not immediately choose a name. He planned to wait half a month until Lu Zia's child was born and then name them together. This was also the wish of his wife, who wanted the sisters' children to have matching names. Of course, Lu Changsheng agreed to this small request. 20 days later, Lu Zia's child was born. It was a daughter. There was still no response from the system. It probably required a certain number to be reached to trigger the achievement rewards. But Lu Changsheng was still very happy. Not because he favored boys over girls, but because he now had a son and a daughter. After discussing the matter with his wife, Lu Changsheng named the boy Lu Wuyu and the girl Lu Wuyu. The meaning was the same as before. He wished for peace and joy. He hoped that his children would grow up in peace and happiness, and that his cultivation path would continue smoothly without any problems. 1 month later. On that day, Lu Changsheng came to the Bai Bao pavilion and took out 5 basic talismans that he had not yet used and asked, "Shopkeeper, Do you sell these purification talismans, and how much are they worth? Revealing his identity as a talisman master naturally required a gradual process. So, after spending about 3 months drawing the 10 batches of talisman paper he had purchased, Lu Changsheng left 5 talisman papers blank and drew the simplest. Purification talisman. The shopkeeper had mentioned that it was normal for beginners to fail hundreds of times when making talismans. If he could make 5 out of 100, he was considered to be quite talented. Purification talisman. The shopkeeper was taken aback. Looking at Lu Changsheng, he remembered that he had sold flying swords to practice making talismans. A surprised expression appeared on his face, and he said with some disbelief, "You turned the 100 materials you bought last time into spiritual talismans, and you made 5 of them." Although the purification talisman was the simplest basic talisman, for a novice who had never made a talisman before, turning 100 attempts into 5 successful talismans was quite extraordinary. Yes, I failed a lot at the beginning, but after succeeding once, it became much easier, so I made those 5 talismans. Lu Changsheng explained. "I want to ask you, shopkeeper, is this talisman valuable?" "Let me see the talisman." The shopkeeper was at a loss for words when he heard this. He hadn't expected Lu Changsheng, an outsider to the family, to have such a talent for making talismans. Lu Changsheng placed the talisman in his hand on the counter. The shopkeeper picked it up and examined it. As a cultivator, he had a certain understanding of talismans. He could see that although the lines of the 5 talismans were not very smooth and the quality was not high, they had all been successfully made without any problems. The shopkeeper sighed and said, "With 100 materials, you have made 5 talismans. Even if they are the same type of spiritual talisman, it shows that you have talent in talisman making." "But the cleansing talisman is just a basic talisman and not very valuable. Few people want it." Saying this, the shopkeeper paused and continued. "However, our Lu family has an incentive program to encourage family members to learn skills. For basic talismans like this, I'm willing to buy 3 for 1 spiritual stone. Even though you are an outsider, you can also enjoy this benefit," the shopkeeper said. Simple talismans have limited effects and are mostly used in everyday life, so they are not highly sought after by cultivators, resulting in a low price. 3 for 1 spiritual stone. When Lu Changsheng heard this price, he also had a psychological expectation. After all, many low-grade first-tier talismans are also priced at 1 spiritual stone each. At this price, with his 100% success rate in making talismans, he could earn 8 spiritual stones. However, he couldn't rely on this method to make money, not to mention that 100% success rate was too high. Even with his skills, if he only made that much money after 2 or 3 months of hard work, it would be like treating himself like a slave. However, Lu Changsheng had no intention of making money from basic talismans. He only used these 5 basic talismans to show off his talent. All right. Lu Changsheng placed the 3 purification talismans on the counter. Then he took out 11 spiritual stones and said, "Shopkeeper, please give me 10 batches of talisman paper and 2 boxes of spiritual ink. Give me these 5 talismans together, and I'll give you 2 spiritual stones." When the shopkeeper saw Lu Changsheng's innate talent for making symbols, he was willing to sell him some good ones. Although he was old, he still had descendants. If Lu Changsheng could truly become a talisman master, it might cause him trouble in the future. "Thank you, shopkeeper." Lu Changsheng immediately thanked the shopkeeper and placed the remaining 2 talismans on the counter, taking a spiritual stone with him. The shopkeeper accepted the talismans and spiritual stone and handed Lu Changsheng 10 sheets of talisman paper and 2 boxes of spirit ink. "Thank you again, shopkeeper." Lu Changsheng thanked him again and turned to leave. Impressive. Too bad he's not from my Lu family. As he watched Lu Changsheng leave, the shopkeeper shook his head and sighed. If he were a blood relative of the Lu family and possessed such an innate talent for talisman making, reporting it to the family would probably result in the family investing resources in his upbringing. However, Lu Changsheng was an outsider, a son-in-law, not considered a true member of the Lu family. Late at night, afterwards, Lu Changsheng looked at the jade body lying on the large bed. Sitting up, he took a purification talisman from the bedside table and patted himself. Immediately, a gentle breeze blew through, removing the sticky liquid from his body and leaving him refreshed. This cleansing talisman is quite useful. Lu Changsheng tried the effect of the cleansing talisman and was quite satisfied. On the bed, the disheveled and blushing Lu Lanshu, with her beautiful intoxicated eyes, saw Lu Changsheng using the talisman to cleanse his body and said softly, "Husband, this is too wasteful. I could have served you." "It's okay. I drew it myself. It's not very valuable." Lu Changsheng waved his hand and said, "You drew this talisman yourself." Upon hearing this, Lu Lanshu's red lips parted slightly, and a surprised expression appeared on her gentle face. Over the past few months, as one of his wives, she had naturally known that Lu Changsheng often drew talismans in his study. Even though she didn't cultivate herself, she had learned a few things from living in such a family environment. Knowing that making talisman was difficult, being able to draw talismans was quite impressive. Originally, for her group of people, marrying the young talents was mainly for the rewards from the Lu family, so they basically relied on their husbands. As for her husband, she didn't have too many expectations or extravagant hopes. The Lu family had made it clear from the start that these young talents were unlikely to achieve much. But understanding aside, if her husband had the ability, it would of course be even better. Whether it was in everyday life, chatting with her sisters, or returning to the secular world, it would give her a face. After all, besides relying on their husbands, there was also the idea of wives supporting their husbands. It seems that I have a talent for making talismans. In the future, after I become a talisman master, I will make sure that you all have a good life. Lu Changsheng spoke quietly. There is no secrecy in matters concerning talismans, and it will be revealed sooner or later. The Lu family may even investigate the matter of making talismans from those around him. So there is no need to hide it. Sharing some of this information with his wives and concubines may also harmonize the atmosphere in the harem. "I believe in my husband," Lu Lanshu whispered and looked at Lu Changsheng with eyes full of tenderness. The seasons were changing, and without realizing it, more than a year had passed since Lu Changsheng arrived at Qingzhou Mountain. During that time, he had not taken a single step outside of the Qingzhou Mountain mansion. Life was exceptionally dull, but every day was filled with cultivation, making talismans, and spending time with his wives. Although relatively uneventful, his days were still full. As for procreation, it had slowed down. Lu Lanshu, Lu Zia, and Lu Qingge all just gave birth and needed time to recover. The two maids who had become concubines were also pregnant and would give birth in a few months. The two maids sent by Uncle Fu hadn't yet become pregnant because Lu Changsheng, being only at first level qi refining, had limited energy and time. Moreover, he didn't see his wives as mere reproductive machines. He took the time to nurture relationships and maintain harmony. Although the Lu family regarded him as a breeder, he refused to see himself as a mere reproductive tool. The personalities of his wives were pleasant, just as Uncle Fu described them, well-educated, dignified and virtuous, without any affectation. From the perspective of Lu Changsheng, a transmigrator, they were surprisingly easy to get along with. Since all his wives were from the Lu family, they interacted well, resulting in a harmonious backyard. After finishing his cultivation and making 2 talismans in the study, Lu Changsheng noticed the good weather outside. He carried his 2-month-old daughter into the courtyard to bask in the sun. Qingzhou Mountain experienced seasonal changes, and it was spring at the moment, with gentle and pleasant sunlight for sunbathing. After half an hour of sunbathing, Lu Changsheng heard activity in the neighboring courtyard. He took his daughter and went to see Li Feiyu, his neighbor. Li Feiyu was practicing martial arts in the small courtyard and showed impressive skills. To put it bluntly, against someone like Lu Changsheng, one punch would be enough. Though he cultivated immortality, he hadn't abandoned martial arts. Seeing Lu Changsheng, Li Feiyu stopped his practice, wiped off sweat with a towel, and casually said, "I heard you've been busy making talismans. How come you have time to visit me?" "Just keeping myself occupied," Lu Changsheng replied with a smile. Given their good relationship and proximity, his wives often chatted with Li Feiyu's wife. "How's your talisman crafting going? I heard it can be quite expensive." Li Feiyu went to the stone table in the yard, picked up the teapot, and poured a cup of brewed tea. "It's going well with some prospects. I'm not aiming for perfection. I just want a skill that can support my family in the future," Lu Changsheng replied as he sat down. Although he and Li Feiyu have a good relationship, it is naturally impossible to tell them things that are related to themselves, and the rhetoric is the same to others. "That's good. With a skill in hand, you can stand firm wherever you go." Li Feiyu nodded, pouring a cup of tea for Lu Changsheng. "What about you? What are your plans? The Lu family can't let you go on like this, right?" Lu Changsheng took the tea and took a sip. Among the 12 immortal seedlings who came to the Lu family together, all have given birth to babies. And now only Li Feiyu is left who has not yet given birth. Rumor had it that his wife was still a virgin. The Scarlet Sun Heart technique. I practice cannot leak my essence before the innate realm. I have already explained this to Uncle Fu, so the Lu family won't press me for now, said Li Feiyu. He was a 7th grade spiritual talent, and the Lu family was relatively lenient towards him. At this stage, they wouldn't force him. "What about breaking through to the innate realm?" asked Lu Changsheng. Li Feiyu fell silent for a moment before saying, "Since I've signed the contract and used resources from the Lu family, I will naturally abide by the agreement. In at most a year, I will break through to the innate realm. By then, I can also lock in my essence and ensure that my primordial yang doesn't leak out. It will only be used for procreation." Impressive. Lu Changsheng couldn't help but admire upon hearing this. "I never thought martial arts could have such a function. Maybe I should practice it too. After all, I have 3 wives and concubines now, which requires quite a bit of effort. As for cultivating immortality and qi refining, it currently does not improve the body very much." He looked at Li Feiyu and asked curiously, "Feiyu, once your martial arts break through to the innate realm, how does your strength compare to cultivators?" Previously, on the way to Qingzhou Mountain, Li Feiyu was able to quickly subdue a Chen family cultivator's windblade, indicating that martial arts experts could also compete with cultivators. However, Lu Changsheng wasn't clear about the specifics. After all, he hadn't witnessed the strength of martial arts experts and had only encountered cultivators once. Breaking through to the innate realm, having innate true energy, should be similar to the spiritual power of a 3rd-level qi refining cultivator. So in a fight, it depends on whether I can get close or not. However, a 3rd-level qi refining cultivator can manipulate objects, use magical weapons, and it's challenging for a martial artist to get close. Li Feiyu explained with a wry smile on his face. In the martial world, an innate master was already a top-notch expert. He had been practicing martial arts since childhood, enduring hardships for over a decade. But he was only considered a first-rate master. Only after spending more than a year in the Lu family, consuming spiritual rice daily, and being nourished by spiritual energy, did his martial cultivation progress so quickly that he could break through to the innate realm. However, a cultivator at the 3rd level of qi refining was already comparable to an innate master. There was simply no way to compare the two. The reason why he didn't give up on martial arts and still spent time on it was that he had practiced to this point and had some obsession in his heart. Lu Changsheng nodded, understanding the situation. Innate master and a 3rd-level kuai refining cultivator is like a warrior and a mage. If the warrior can get close enough, he can still win. But if he can't get close, then he is basically dead. But when you think about it, you know that it is too difficult for an innate warrior to get close to an immortal cultivator. After all, in addition to magic weapons, if the cultivators also have any other means such as robes, talismans, etc., how will the warriors defeat them? Above the innate realm, are there further stages? He asked, looking at his daughter in his arms. Suddenly, he thought that if his child didn't have spiritual roots, he could also send them to practice martial arts. After all, if the parents have spiritual roots unilaterally, the probability of their children having spiritual roots is very small. There is only a 1 or 2% probability. This is also the reason why the Lu family asked them to give birth to 50 children. This world is so dangerous, and it is impossible for my children to stay in Qingzhou Mountain for the rest of their lives. If they practice martial arts from a young age, not only will they strengthen their bodies, but they will also have some self-defense power when they go out in the future. Moreover, because of the system's second function, Lu Changsheng always felt in his heart that none of his current 3 children have spiritual roots. The more children, more blessing system will add all the talents and cultivation of the children to him. The spiritual roots of children manifest around the age of 5 or 6, but that doesn't mean there are no spiritual roots before that. However, when the 3 children were born, Lu Changsheng felt no change in his own spiritual roots, so he had this faint guess in his heart. Of course, the specific situation will only be known when the children reach the right age and are tested. Lu Changsheng was just speculating and is not sure. Above the innate, there are innate grandmasters and innate great-grandmasters. But even innate great-grandmasters can only contend with cultivators at the 5th or 6th level of qi refining. As far as I know, there are not many innate great-grandmasters in the entire martial world, so the two cannot be compared at all. Li Feiyu shook his head. Lu Changsheng nodded, gaining a rough understanding of martial arts. Even if one cultivates to the limit, it is only comparable to the mid-stage of qi refining. Thinking about the talents and strengths of his children that can be added to himself, Lu Changsheng couldn't help but think, if he had dozens or hundreds of children practicing to become innate great-grandmasters, could he be on par with the later stages of foundation building? Once this idea came out, Lu Changsheng felt that in the future, his children could practice cultivation if they had spiritual roots, and martial arts if they didn't. As for his own martial arts practice, Lu Changsheng just thought about it and had no plans to take action. Currently, besides practicing cultivation and making talismans, his wives and concubines occupied most of his energy. He didn't have extra time and energy to spend on martial arts. Time passed quickly, and over a month had passed. Lu Changsheng's 4th child was also born. It was born to his 4th concubine, a girl. Lu Changsheng named her Lu Shila. He had thought of this name from the beginning. At this point, Lu Changsheng also noticed a problem. If he continued to have children like this, naming them in the future would be a headache. Thinking that he could establish a family generation name. In this case, naming would be relatively simple in the future. As for the other concubine, she would also give birth in 2 months. It is worth mentioning that after testing, it was found that the concubine was pregnant with twins. Inside the study room, Lu Changsheng had transformed the last piece of talisman paper into a first-level mid-grade talisman. Even now, drawing a first-level mid-grade talisman was still a bit difficult for him. It wasn't a matter of skill. Making talismans consumed spiritual energy and concentration. Without his second-level talisman-making skills, it would be impossible for him with only a first-level Kuai cultivation to draw a first-level mid-grade talisman. After a short rest, he picked up the talisman and then opened a locked cabinet nearby. Inside, layers of thick talismans were neatly arranged, totaling over 100. It had been almost half a year since he had won the lottery to learn how to make talismans, and these talismans were the result of his efforts over the past 6 months. Sigh, so many talismans, but I can't sell them for money. Lu Changsheng looked at the talismans and couldn't help but shake his head. Of the 20 packs of talisman paper he had bought, apart from his curiosity leading him to try a few difficult first-class talismans of mid-grade and failing due to insufficient spiritual power, All the others had been transformed into talismans. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that his success rate was 100%. However, he didn't dare take any of these first-class talismans out to sell, as they could easily attract the attention of the higher-ups in the Lu family. As for secretly selling them elsewhere, it wasn't very practical either. Leaving Qingzhou Mountain alone required the approval of the Lu family. He was also a little afraid of going to the Immortal City and the market by himself. The cultivation world didn't have any laws. If he were to be robbed or attacked by rogue cultivators, what could he do as a first-level QI refining cultivator without any combat spells? After all, he is just a weakling at the first level of qi refining and has not learned any spells. In other words, he is more flexible and stronger than ordinary people and can only rely on talismans to protect himself. I can't rush things. Take it slowly. Lu Changsheng took a deep breath, telling himself that nothing should be rushed and that caution was the key. Immediately, he picked up the 9 cleaning talismans, 6 clothes purifying talismans, and 3 dust-avoiding talismans that he had drawn long ago and walked towards the Bai Bao Pavilion. He was ready to exchange these 18 basic talismans for spirit stones. At the same time, he once again showed off his talent for making spells. "Shopkeeper, please help me exchange these talismans for spirit stones." Upon arriving at the Bai Bao Pavilion, Lu Changsheng called out to the shopkeeper and placed 12 basic talismans on the counter. "Wow, you made 18 talismans this time. And besides the previous cleaning talismans, you also made laundry talismans and dust avoidance talismans." The shopkeeper picked up the talismans, immediately recognized the other 2 types of talismans, and exclaimed in amazement, "I'm pretty sure about the cleaning and laundry talismans now, but the dust avoidance talismans are still a bit tricky. As you said, making talismans is too difficult and takes too much time. At this rate, I don't know how long it will take me to draw first-class talismans and become a talisman master." Lu Changsheng sighed uncomfortably. Although all 3 talismans were basic, their difficulty was gradually increasing. "It's already quite good. You are indeed very talented in making talismans. As long as you persist, you will definitely become a talisman master." The shopkeeper's face was filled with emotion. He felt that this was quite incredible. Lu Changsheng could now draw 3 types of basic talismans, making him a talisman apprentice. As long as he persevered, he would undoubtedly become a talisman master. He put the talismans away, took out 6 spirit stones and encouraged him, "Keep up the good work." "Thank you, shopkeeper." Lu Changsheng took the spirit stones and left without buying anything else. "Aren't you going to buy talisman paper this time?" The shopkeeper was somewhat surprised to see Lu Changsheng leave with the spirit stones. "The pen from before is worn out and can't be used anymore, so I'll wait a while and buy a new one when I have enough spirit stones." Lu Changsheng shook his head, a bitter expression on his face. Although the expression is fake, the words are true. The wolf hairbrush claimed to be usable 200 times, but in reality, it struggled after 180 uses. The rest was all supported by Lu Changsheng's second-level skills, so he could continue to make talismans with the broken talisman brush. With his current monthly income of 3 spirit stones, even if he saved constantly, he couldn't afford a new brush, unless he sold the robe he was wearing. But Lu Changsheng had worn that robe for so long, he liked it and didn't want to sell it. The shopkeeper also remembered that Lu Changsheng had used this brush for a long time. He thought for a moment and asked, "Lu Changsheng, what is your success rate in drawing basic talismans now?" For basic talismans like the cleansing talisman and the clothing purifying talisman, I'm familiar with them, with a success rate of about 70 to 80%. As for the dust avoidance talisman, I have about 30% confidence. As for the more advanced ones, like the safety talisman, I've tried them a few times and failed. Lu Changsheng didn't know why the other person was asking this, but there must be a reason. After thinking for a moment, he replied, "The difficulty level increased with each talisman, and the safety talisman was a higher level. If he had a 70, To 80% success rate with the safety talisman, he could try a first-class low-grade talisman. Good. The shopkeeper nodded and didn't say much. Lu Changsheng cupped his hands and turned to leave. At that moment, a fair-skinned, beautiful girl in a green dress walked towards the Baibao Pavilion with a happy expression on her face, passing Lu Changsheng. The girl glanced at Lu Changsheng with a hint of contempt in her eyes. Then she walked directly into the Baibao Pavilion and happily shouted to the shopkeeper, "Grandpa, I've reached the 3rd level of qi refining." Upon hearing this, the shopkeeper's face immediately lit up with a smile. "Reach the 3rd level of qi refining. Great. What reward do you want? Grandpa will give it to you." "Grandpa, I want a flying sword." The girl immediately made her request. "No problem. When you reach the 3rd level of qi refining, you can control magic weapons. Grandpa has already prepared a flying sword for you," the shopkeeper said with a smile and led the girl to the flying sword. "Thank you, Grandpa," the girl said happily. Then she casually remarked, "Grandpa, what was that immortal seedling doing just now? He didn't seem to buy anything, but he chatted with you for a long time." "He practices talisman making and brought some simple talismans here to sell," the shopkeeper replied. "Talisman making? A immortal seedling like him, a burden to our family, dares to practice talisman making." When the girl heard this, she couldn't help but sneered. Most of the Lu family members at Qingzhou Mountain Villa usually looked down on Lu Changsheng and other outsiders. The girl was no exception. She even felt disgusted because of Lu Changsheng's reputation of constantly marrying wives, taking concubines, and having children. Now that she heard that he was making talismans, she couldn't help but feel contempt. "Yue, what do Grandpa usually teach you?" Upon hearing this, the shopkeeper wiped away his smile, looked at his granddaughter and said, "Although Lu Changsheng is a son-in-law who married into the family, an outsider, he has been diligent and practical over the past year. He has done justice to our Lu family. If you spread such words, it will make our Lu family look petty and intolerant. Besides, Lu Changsheng is quite extraordinary. He has a natural talent for making talismans. He is already a talisman apprentice. If, he continues, he will surely become a talisman master in the future. So, you shouldn't say things like that in the future. If you meet him, you should befriend him. When he becomes a talisman master, it will be good for you," the shopkeeper said. "Is it true? Then Lu Changsheng is a talisman apprentice? Can he become a talisman master?" The girl was stunned upon hearing her grandfather's words and then exclaimed with disbelief on her face. It's important to note that in the Lu family, there were only 2 first-level talisman masters, the 4th elder of the Lu family and the young lady. But now, her grandfather was actually saying that an outsider, a son-in-law, was an apprentice in talisman making and could become a talisman master. She was incredibly surprised. "Of course it's true. Why would Grandpa lie to you?" The shopkeeper rubbed his granddaughter's hair in a comforting way. "Why? Besides, how can he, an outsider, afford the materials to practice talisman making?" The girl still harbored some disbelief, muttering unhappily in her mouth. She had tried to make talismans before, but she didn't have any natural talent for it. Now that she heard her grandfather's words that this seemingly despised person had such a talent, it struck her and made her feel a little discouraged, as if she had been surpassed, which made her feel uncomfortable. Spiritual roots don't represent everything. Some people just have talent in certain areas, and no one can predict that. All right, when you meet him in the future, don't try to please him or curry favor with him. Just be a bit more polite. The shopkeeper advised and comforted his granddaughter. In the middle of their conversation, he took a low-grade magical weapon, a flying sword, out of the cupboard and handed it to the girl.